We're live.
Thank you. Good morning. Today is Monday, March 30th. This is the Board of Architects and Engineer Examiners Board. We have called an emergency teleconference meeting. This meeting includes the grant committee members and our board chair. And I will start by doing roll call. So as I call your name, if you can make sure that you unmute yourself to answer. Mr. Blair Parker.
Here.
Thank you. Mr. Alton Heathcote.
I'm here.
Thank you. Ms. Susan Ballard Gribble.
Here.
Thank you. Mr. Frank Wagster.
Here.
Mr. Brian Tibbs.
Here.
Mr. Ben Brichta.
Here.
Thank you. That provides a quorum for this meeting, and this meeting agenda was properly noticed on the board's website on March the 27th. I am going to turn over the information regarding the statement of necessity to our board attorney, Maria.
Good morning. So I will just read this into the record. This is a statement of necessity. This is an emergency scheduled meeting of the Tennessee Board of Architectural and Engineer Examiners, which is taking place by electronic means utilizing the Webex teleconference application on Monday, March 30th, 2020. Notice of this meeting was posted to the board's website on March 27th, 2020. As there is not a physical quorum present, a statement of necessity will be read into the record and filed with the Tennessee Secretary of State as required by statute. Pursuant to TCA 8-44-108B2, if a physical quorum is not present at the location of the meeting of a governing body, then in order for a quorum of members to participate by electronic or other means of communication, the governing body must make a determination that a necessity exists. That determination must include a recitation of the facts and circumstances on which it was based. Further, TCA 844-108A3 defines necessity as matters to be considered by the governing body at that meeting require timely action by the body. A physical presence by a quorum of the members is not practical within the period of time requiring action, and that participation by a quorum of the members by electronic or other means of communication is necessary. As stated, this is an emergency meeting for the Tennessee Board of Architectural and Engineer Examiners. The purpose of this meeting with members attending by teleconference is to decide on whether the board will allow grant funds to be utilized for the purposes of advancing efforts to assist and mitigate the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic. All voting will be conducted by roll call.
Maria, do you need me to do roll call for the statement of necessity?
We do not.
Okay. Thank you. So I believe you've given a brief explanation of why we're here. And so in a second, I'll turn it back over to you so you can walk our members through the type of motion that they can do. As Maria stated, this has to do with the grant funds for the architects and engineer programs, the universities, and funds that some of these universities have in other words, they've got the funds, but they've not been able to use all of them possibly due to this unique situation with the COVID-19. And so we've been addressing some possibilities and have seen how some of our universities have taken their skills, their expertise, their students, the faculty, and been using, I'll use as a quick example, 3D printers to actually put their talents and brilliance, quite frankly, to good use for this unique situation. And we think that there's some exception that would allow for that. So that's it as far as an explanation to the main reason for the agenda and for the grant funds to be discussed. So I will turn it over to Maria to guide you on what it is we think we can approve, and you would motion as well as give me possibly some provisions for myself as the executive director to move forward as the universities say that they do have unused funds that they can use toward this. Then legal counsel, Sherelle Hooper, who's in charge of contracts, will review those and approve them so that we can use them now rather than wait, given this unique situation. So Maria, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you, Roxana. So I would recommend the motion to include a motion to allow grant funds to be used for the purposes of advancing efforts to assist and mitigate the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic. And as Roxana mentioned, it would be my recommendation that you all motion for to grant Roxana authority to kind of have discretion to determine if grant funds would be appropriately used for COVID-19 efforts. Just in the instance that maybe a certain instance comes up before the June meeting, and Roxana would have her role as executive director that authority to act on behalf of the board approving use of funds. So I think I would recommend two different motions. One to grant Roxana that authority as executive to act and to approve or disapprove the use of funds, and then the other motion to allow funds to be used for COVID-19 efforts. And also, Sherelle's here. She's our contract attorney, as Roxana mentioned, if she has anything to add to that, but that's my understanding of it at this time.
Thanks, Maria. This is Sherelle speaking. That's my understanding as well of the motions that need to take place today. So if you all have any questions related to the contracts, please let me know. Thanks.
Roxana, this is Susan. I do have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
I know this is unusual circumstances. In the event that they find your replacement for the A&E board director, how would we address the approval of funds if it should happen afterwards?
I doubt that will happen before June, although I am hopeful. Not that I don't love being with you all, but I doubt it would. But if it would, you're actually giving the authority to the executive director. So I think that would not be a problem at all.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, we would need two motions if either any of you can start, whether it's giving the executive director the authority first or the allow the funds, as Maria stated. We will need two separate motions.
Hey, this is Al. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Alton.
Okay. Maria, you did a very eloquent job in stating what the motion should state. Can you put both of those in writing in the same format that you just gave them to us? And if you would do that, I would make a motion that, one, we give the executive director the authority to modify or amend the grants to colleges as required in view of the impact that COVID-19 is having on their ability to utilize those grants in accordance with the methodology they proposed in their submittal to us.
And we need a second to that motion, please.
I second.
Susan, I second.
We have a motion from Alton Heathcote and a second. Was that, who was the second from?
Susan Ballard.
Susan, thank you. I will do roll call on the first motion at hand, which was the one to grant authority to myself or the acting executive director. Mr. Blair Parker,
Yes.
Mr. Alton Heathcote,
Yes.
Ms. Susan Ballard Gribble,
Yes.
Mr. Frank Wagster,
Yes.
Mr. Brian Tibbs,
Yes.
Mr. Ben Brichta.
Ben says he can't hear anything, but he did say he votes yes in the chat.
He can't hear us. Okay, thank you. So you're able to chat with him. Thank you, Dustin, for clarifying that. So we have our first motion at hand completed, and I believe Maria's given us the information for the second one, which is allowing the funds to be used toward the COVID-19. I will leave it back to the board in case there are any problems, and if not, or questions, and if not, for the motion.
This is Alton again. I would like to make the motion that we utilize a portion of the funds as designated or requested by the individual colleges to be used towards addressing issues related to COVID-19.
We have a motion. We need a second on that motion, please.
This is Frank. I second the motion.
Thank you, Frank. We have a motion and a second. I will do roll call for that second motion. Mr. Blair Parker,
Yes.
Mr. Alton Heathcote,
Yes, with the exception that I do want Maria to clean that up.
oh,
and
absolutely. She
state it the
will
way
write
that she
those.
stated it.
Yes, thank you. I agree with you. Thank you. Ms. Susan Ballard Gribble,
Yes.
Mr. Frank Waxter,
Yes.
Mr. Brian Tibbs,
Yes.
Mr. Ben Bridgeta, Dustin had mentioned that Ben is having problems with his speaker system. Dustin, are you still communicating with him?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Maria.
Sorry. And I'll just say, I saw Ben, I put both of these motions in the chat box, and Ben did respond that he votes yes to both of these.
Fantastic. Then I believe we have both motions. I don't have anything else pressing. Maria, I'll turn it over to you before we have a motion to adjourn to make sure that we've not missed anything. Thank you, board members.
I think we are all good to go. Again, I want to echo Roxanne and saying thank you so much for being here and on short notice and for your efforts. And thank you, Roxanna, for orchestrating all of this.
No, thank you all. And I really, really want to thank Sherelle. She's, it's taken a lot of efforts to run with these moving pieces that I know without a doubt all of you that are on this call feel very strongly about, as you've motioned. The rest of the board will as well. We've not brought all of them in because it happened very quickly. We don't want to lose very important time. So lots of hands made this happen quickly, and I appreciate all of your time. It is now 10:48, and I will accept a motion to adjourn.
This is Alton's moved.
This is Frank. Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn our meeting. Mr. Blair Parker,
Yes.
Mr. Alton Heathcote,
Absolutely.
Ms. Susan Ballard Gribble,
Yes.
Mr. Frank Waxter,
Yes.
Mr. Brian Tibbs,
Yes.
and Mr. Ben Bridgeta is also still with us. I can see him on the system, so I've got him as also knowing we've adjourned. Thank you all very much. You can end the meeting, and I look forward to seeing every one of you at our June meeting.
Thank you, Roxanna.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Y'all be safe.
Be safe.
Thank you. Bye-bye.